We start with a look into the future. How will we get around Maricopa County and pay to get around? County residents right now pay half a penny sales tax out of every dollar they spend to build and maintain highways, roads, and light rail. The tax was approved by county voters under Prop 400, but it expires at the end of 2024. The legislature has to approve another county-wide vote in order to extend the tax, and time is running out. Joining us now is Ed Zuercher, the new executive director of the Maricopa Association of Governments. That's the regional planning agency for the Valley's cities and towns. He's a former city manager of Phoenix, the Valley's largest city. Welcome to Square Off.
Thanks, Bram. Good to be here.
Many people watching right now have probably never heard of MAG. To those of us in the business, it's a pretty common name. Where can we see the physical evidence of what MAG does every day?
That's a great question. Really, the most impactful, I think, to people is transportation. So one of the things that we plan is the network in the county. And most people don't realize that over the last 40 years, Maricopa County voters have voted to pay to build the freeways, bus system, light rail system that we all sometimes take for granted, but I think most people really appreciate.
And yeah, they don't know those dollars are working to build those highways. If this half-penny sales tax isn't renewed, how would that affect the way we get around the valley?
So, you know, great cities have great transportation choices, and the choices that we have here in the region, freeways, light rail, buses, dial-a-ride, that's all come from this tax. The tax expires at the end of 2025, and
25 or 24?
25.
Oh, okay, my mistake then. I thought it was 24.
It goes through 2025. Okay. Our urgency, though, is that we need it to be approved as soon as we can so that we can have a smooth continuity of the planning and building of these projects.
And so why does the legislature have to do this? Why can't the county just say we're going to have a county-wide initiative?
Well, we wish that were the case. Unfortunately, through a long history, only in Maricopa County does the legislature have to allow the voters to vote on transportation. So that's the hand we're dealt, is that we must go through the legislature to get permission for the voters to vote on a tax and a plan, and the plan that's been developed by all the elected leaders of Maricopa County.
And so last year, this passed the legislature. You got what you wanted.
That's right.
But Governor Doug Ducey, Republican Governor Doug Ducey, vetoed it. Do you understand why he did that?
I don't. It's really a tragic outcome, a tragedy that he did that, because we had the agreement of all the elected leaders of Maricopa County, the legislatively appointed folks who helped build the plan, a majority of the legislature, and then at the last minute, Governor Ducey decided to veto it. What that's done is it has cost us time and it's cost us money in continuing to develop the freeways and the transit system that we need.
Okay, so give us an idea. Say this did go to a vote and voters approved it. What would the future look like, and how would it be different from what we see now around us?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of it is a continuity. So 20 years ago, the voters voted to expand the bus system and invest in the light rail system, but also expand the freeways. And so now there's a lot of continuity, widening freeways, continuing to expand bus service where we know the employers and the residents in the far northwest valley, the far east valley want it, continuing to invest in light rail. There's a couple of new freeways, the State Route 30, which is in the southwest valley, kind of an I-10 parallel, and State Route 24, completion in the far southeast valley, which really connects Pinal County and Santan into Mesa and the rest of the valley.
Now, you mentioned light rail. The Republican-sponsored legislation in play at the Capitol would not fund an expansion of light rail, correct?
That's correct. The proposals that we're dealing with now, the Republican majority has said they do not want it to include funding for light rail expansion.
Is that a non-starter for the cities you represent?
The cities are really working to be flexible, and so if there needs to be some money in this plan for light rail, for the maintenance, at least for the maintenance and the capital rehabilitation of the existing program. What's important about light rail is the majority of the funding comes from individual cities who also have voted to tax themselves. Phoenix, Tempe, Mesa are paying the lion's share of it with federal funds. The regional tax is really an added part to that. So that's important. But what I would say is the light rail has gotten way too much attention for what it does in the tax. The tax is 60% roads and freeways, and it's 95% things other than light rail. Light rail is an important component, but it is not by any stretch the biggest part, or it's basically the smallest part of this tax.
And yet it's a hang-up for many of the Republican
That's right.
suburban lawmakers who just don't like light rail and have never liked it.
Right, and it's unfortunate because the plan is really about choices, right? If you think about our region, it's as big, the MAG region is as big as the state of Massachusetts. And so we are planning intensely urban areas like Phoenix, Tempe, Mesa, and very suburban and rural areas where freeways make sense. It's not one size fits all in planning, and so in parts of the valley, light rail makes sense, other parts, buses, and in other parts, roads, freeways. And so it's got to be a mix.
And so we're in an era of divided government. If the legislature, the two chambers and the governor can't agree on this, or the two chambers, House and Senate, don't advance a vote to the ballot, what's Plan B or Plan C?
Well, our Plan A and plan all the way through Plan Y is to get the legislature to get a bill to the governor that matches the plan so that the voters can decide. I guess a Plan Z would be what people have talked about, which is trying to do something on a statewide initiative scale, but that's really not what we're focused on right now. We really need to continue to educate the legislature and get them to understand the importance of this plan going to the voters. We're not asking anyone to vote in the legislature on taxes. We're asking them to let the voters vote on taxes, and it's an extension of a tax, not an increase.
And does it have to get done this year?
It really does, because the closer we get towards 2025, the less time we have for a smooth transition, and the more, in legislative terms, they have to do things under emergency clauses. So 2023 is a critical year to get this going towards the ballot so that it can be a smooth transition into the next phase. We've already, because of the veto, had to delay State Route 30 planning. We've had to delay State Route 24 planning just because we don't have certainty about the tax into the future. That's already slowed us down. We need to get this moving now.
All right. Ed Zuercher, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You can see all of our Sunday Square Off coverage on 12news.com or on our YouTube channel. Go to 12news.com/YouTube.